And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
You bet. We're back without a dog named Crypto with us, but maybe with a new lady named Eve at our side. Well, wouldn't that be something?
I totally missed that. There's an Eve.
Eve? Yeah, Eve. Eve Tessmacher.
What are we talking about?
Jimmy Olsen's gal.
Oh,
Jimmy's gal.
Okay, sorry, I got distracted. Blame my dad.
Darren.
I am now.
Darren.
I'm 100% on board. We're back to be locked in.
We're here.
Eve, I'm like...
It's okay.
I will say this, though. If I was paying attention...
Sure.
I probably wouldn't remember her name was Eve, so...
That's okay. That's okay. We will continue to stretch your heart and your capacity. But it's great to be here. We just saw Superman.
We did.
That's great. We loved it. Spoilers. We're going to get into more spoilers and more deep Superman content on today's pod. We have another potential banger coming up.
Potential.
Fantastic Four, First Steps. So very excited to talk about our expectations and final predictions for that movie. And then, of course, we'll have another classic, JP and the Beans 5. So a smaller list of content to get to, but a list that nonetheless has depth. There are subplots here to discuss. So without further ado, Beans, let's get into it. Superman.
Locked in.
What did you think?
This is everything I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost, I wouldn't say perfect, but this is great. This is a great movie. Look, I'm not a Superman guy. I'm not a Superman fan. I'm going in there with like, it's Superman. But I came out, I'm like, we have Superman. Mm-hmm. That's how I came out of that. Yep. In the sense of, I'm like, okay, he's here. It's established. This feels like the right fit. I am super excited to see Corn Sweat continue in this role and grow further and further down the line. I'm glad we didn't get an origin. I'm glad it was 3 years in. Mm-hmm. We're already established. We can get over the whole shenanigans of learning. I'm done learning,
Give me the mastery.
So, and you get right into it right away. You're thrown right into the action. And I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic movie overall. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So him and Lex Luthor, fantastic dynamics. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the gist.
Yeah.
The very overview of the overviews here.
Great.
But it was good.
Great overview. I agree. It made its layups. It did its job, knew its assignment, executed on the assignment. It provided, in some ways, what I think over time I will come to appreciate even more as we get further down the line of DCU movies and with the character, this iteration of Superman in particular. It has been a while. What I mean is it has been a long time since we have had a hero that has been this shamelessly and unapologetically hopeful and optimistic. As a matter of fact, the closest comparison that I can bring to it isn't even from the DC realm. It's probably Chris Evans' Captain America. And that is a compliment because the character of Captain America was a delight to spend a solid decade with and watch that iteration progress. And I think this particular Superman came out at the right time for this take on Superman to be well received. I think that's a fascinating conversation for another day and perhaps another pod of, hey, would this version of Superman be as welcome 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know. It's one of those questions akin to, hey, who's the best of all time, Michael Jordan or LeBron, right? More fun than literal in terms of, is it a question you can actually answer? Well, yes, it was Michael, but I digress. This was a really solid movie. It was fun. It was hopeful. It was flawed in some real, but I think good ways. And as important as anything, it sets one heck of a tone and foundation for the DCU ahead. So I'm excited to dive deep into it. So without further ado, let's start with the hope, with the optimism. What were elements of this movie that, in your opinion, the strongest or that you enjoyed the most?
First of all, I want to say one of the best casted superhero flicks I've seen in a while.
Without question.
There was I don't think there was a miss on the board. I think overall, I know we were a little worried about like a Guy Gardner being older. It didn't feel like that, to be honest.
Certainly wasn't a detriment.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I mean, if you go through all that, I'd say it's cast overall very, very well. From a world building perspective, it felt like the world was already present. It didn't feel like there was anything forced. I didn't feel like anything came at us where it's like, oh, they really wanted to get that in there. Yep. Like Venom in Spider-Man 3, where it was like, oof, we are forcing this guy in here. I didn't feel that way with any of it whatsoever. All the lesser known characters that get introduced in this, I want more of.
Right.
I look at a Mr. Terrific who steals the show from the superhero side of things, which is not what I thought would happen for me. I didn't think Mr. Terrific would be that awesome. Pleasantly surprised. I was not familiar with the character too much. Kind of had an idea of what he was like. Seeing him on screen, awesome. Can't wait for more of him. He was easily my favorite out of that group.
Yep.
So to have all that, I think that's a huge step.
Yep.
So, and Lex Luthor, dude. That, if he is not your cornerstone piece for the DC, you moving forward, I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. That was phenomenal.
Right, for what a villain needs to be. Like the best, it's not a coincidence that the best superhero movies consistently have some of the best and most formidable villains. Like you just can't have a excellent or above average superhero movie without a excellent, formidable, imposing villain. You just can't. Yeah. They don't exist. They are part and parcel with each other, and yet so many superhero movies struggle to provide that outstanding adversary for the hero to combat with, to create that conflict. Yeah, Lex Luthor was that in spades in this movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So Fortress of Solitude was fantastic. I think overall the settings were nice. This was just an overall, it feels like they ripped it right out of the comics. Yeah. That's what it feels like. Yeah. And that is the highest of compliments I can give it. So for me, that there's just a whole lot of good. And if you can pull away where, okay, the world is now bigger and it sets the tone for the rest of it being opened up. Yep. And you have these smaller, lesser known characters where you're like, okay, we're going to get Guy Gardner back in the Lantern show. Fantastic. Yep. We get to see him again soon. You're like, okay, when do we get to see Mr. Terrific again? When do we get to see Hawkgirl again? When do we get to see Metamorpho, which didn't get a lot of screen time? So we'll see how that turns out for him. He's now free in the world. Right. Out in the wild. Yes. So to see all of that pan out, that's awesome. So overall, like James Gunn knows what he's doing. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. From a casting point of view, like I have one nit to pick, but it's a small nit and we won't get into that right now. I thought they nailed every single, particularly the critical characters. Like obviously it starts with Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor. They crushed those castings. Like Rachel Brosnahan could not only just look, obviously the look is a component, right, of getting a casting choice on the button, particularly when you're doing an adaptation of a comic book character who has a really well-established look. Okay, so Amy Adams, for example, she's redheaded. That is automatically a different look than what we're used to seeing from Lois Lane. I only bring up Amy Adams because she portrayed Lois Lane most recently in Man of Steel. She's a phenomenal actress. She's not the right fit, in my opinion, for Lois Lane. Rachel Brosnahan has the look, like literally looks like Lois Lane out of the comics, or you could say Lois Lane looks like Rachel Brosnahan. Either way. But Rachel Brosnahan also brings the right tone to that character of skeptical, like any good, high-quality investigative journalist must be, but not cynical. And there's a difference. And she captured that so well. And we'll get into each casting choice a little more granularly here shortly. But Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was tremendous, so formidable,
the amount of, I think this was really critical in terms of, you mentioned earlier how this wasn't an origin story, how that was a strength for this movie. That allowed Lex Luthor to already be really well developed in terms of what he's able to bring to the table with his power set. We didn't spend a lot of time, or the movie rather didn't really take its time to describe just how wild this is. Lex Luthor already has a freaking pocket universe to play with. That's not something you get in an origin story.
No.
That is Lex has been doing his work for a not small period of time. Not only does he have a pocket universe, it's well developed. He's already got an entire prison full of fools. Not only his fools, but as he said in the movie, other countries, quote unquote, fools. That takes time. That takes integration. That takes networking and all kinds of connectivity. That's not a quick, oh yeah, I just popped out a pocket universe. That's wild. He has portals all over the world to the pocket universe. He's created a Superman clone. That doesn't happen quickly. He's developed nanite technology. He has equipped one of his lackeys, the engineer, with the kind of tech that Iron Man didn't get until Endgame.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much that Lex was already bringing to the table that it's actually wild how formidable he was. And just as importantly, not just the tech, the toys, and the accomplishments of which came at us quite rapidly, but Nicholas Hoult absolutely nailed the portrayal of Lex Luthor as sharp, calculating, and yes, he's controlled, but the dude is also right on the edge of not being in control. And that is a really unique thing to display well. Like there's a veil there between separating controlled Lex and not really in control or just fully enraged Lex. And somehow Holt was able to demonstrate both sides of that coin. I mean, it was a tremendous performance that allowed David Cornsweet's portrayal of Superman to flourish. So casting, totally agree. Crushed it. Fortress of Solitude was a fun design as well. I really enjoyed the music in this movie, and that wasn't something that I anticipated. Okay. I'm a sucker for great music in movies. I love what Hans Zimmer did with the Man of Steel score. Okay. And of course, with the Dark Knight trilogy, that's outstanding. Something that I miss a little bit in the MCU is there's rarely great scores accompanying those movies. They're perfectly fine. I'm not dunking on them. And obviously the Avengers theme that was developed over time and crescendoed in that glorious Endgame scene was magnificent. That was an awesome moment of visual and score in the MCU. But so rarely did we get a theme that followed a particular character in a noticeable way. Not saying never, but from my point of view, that was something that was overall not one of the stronger attributes of a great run of MCU movies. So I thought this was a really fun start for the DCU. Like Lex's theme in particular was great. They leaned heavily on the classic Superman theme from Chris Reeves' portrayal. I thought the Lex theme that they introduced here was unique and really strong. I was really a big fan of the score. And of course, James Gunn, he knows his tunes, so he mixes in his opportunities for the needle drop, like with Mr. Terrific's fight scene, for example. That was a lot of fun. But I was pleasantly surprised by how much the score stood out to me in a positive way.
And I know he addressed this too, but he definitely dialed back like the actual music for more composed.
This was not Superman as the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Correct. Yep. So props to him for getting out of his comfort zone a little bit with this, but it did work really well. I'm a sucker for the nostalgia pop.
Yep.
So hearing the Superman theme, why change it? It's so iconic. It goes with the character. It's perfect.
It worked well. It worked really well.
Every time they hit it, it made sense. It worked wonders. You're just like, oh, here we go. He's gonna take over now. This is it. They're playing his theme song.
Yeah.
So props to James for being able to dial it back when he needs to dial it back. This is a terrible comparison, but it works. I remember watching the Power Rangers movie because why not?
Listen,
but no, not like
it when
hold on. No,
Loved it.
No, not the old school one. Like the remake that they tried to bring into like. Do you remember this?
Okay.
Where they leaned more into the alien-esque sides of things.
Right.
Anyways,
what was that, like 2017?
Yes, this movie. Okay, it's not a bad movie.
2017. I can't believe I nailed that.
It's not a terrible movie, okay? I also understand why it didn't get a sequel, but it's not bad. Like, you're not going to go in there and waste your time. Right. However, it reminds me of one scene when they finally get the Megazords for the first time. They all ride out, and then they play the old school Mighty Morphin song. And it's like, this actually, like, that hits. Does it wonders for it. And I'm not even a big Power Ranger guy. But to hear it, you're like, okay, this is pretty badass. Like, so it's cool to get that back, and I'm hoping he kind of takes that with, like, even Batman. I'm not expecting, like, the 1960s theme or whatever.
Or even the Tim Burton theme.
Right. Yeah. But if you can update that and actually work with it a little bit so there's a little nod to it, that'd be awesome. So there you go.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so those are the start of our positives. Again, I want to take a nice deep dive going cast member by cast member here shortly. But before we do that, was there anything that for you is, let's call it an incomplete, that you're going, okay, I'm not sure where that really lands for me? It wasn't an outright negative. It wasn't an outright positive. It was just okay. Or is there any nits to pick that you wanted to bring to our attention today?
At this point in time, I don't have any like negatives. The one weird thing for me, and I'm still trying to figure it out. Why does Metamorpho have a kid? They did nothing with the kid. I thought, the kid would come back and like have these crazy strong powers or something. Also, that doesn't really look like his kid specifically. Is this an alien kid? Like, I have no idea what that child is.
Yep.
Like I said in the last pod, I've been reading World's Finest.
Yep.
And Metamorpho is in it for a good amount of time. There is not a child anywhere in that iteration.
Sure.
So I am flying in blind. And I don't know if they just did that for give the character some sympathy or what. However, that it just throws me off because it's just a green baby. And it was not implied, by the way, that it had any sort of powers outside of it just being a green alien-esque baby.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's great.
Well,
let me address that for you. Let me flesh that out because I actually know a little bit about this one.
Oh, there you go.
So Metamorpho, okay, his given name, as you may guess, was not Metamorpho, right? It's Rex Mason, okay?
Badass name.
Which is actually a phenomenal name. Rex falls in love with Sapphire Stagg, okay? Sapphire's dad is Simon Stagg, so of Stagg Industries.
And he is not a good guy.
Not a top-notch individual, no. We actually got a Easter egg of Stagg Industries when Superman in the middle of our movie is reeling from the realization that his biological parents have said, hey, actually rule the world. And he stumbles into a nearby or adjacent, skyscraper or office building. And we see kind of over his shoulder in that shot where he's looking down with his jaw clenched, Stagg Industries in the background. So he's in either the or a Stagg Industries building. Okay. Rex Mason falls in love with Sapphire. Sapphire falls in love with Rex. Simon uses their relationship to leverage hey, Rex, why don't we do some experiments, man? I think that'd be kind of cool. Should we try it? Yeah, let's try it. Metamorpho shows up. Not what Rex had signed up for. Probably what Simon knew was going to happen all along. But Metamorpho emerges. He and Sapphire stay together, and they actually do have a son named freaking Joey. So,
is he green though in the comics?
I believe so. Yeah,
oh wow,
has really similar skill set to Metamorpho. So, and I don't pretend to know a ton about Baby Joey, other than this was a weird, weirdly accurate portrayal, and we actually got to see, and nobody talks about it, but when Metamorpho was sitting on his couch holding Joey, and the gal sitting next to him, we are presuming, is Sapphire,
Right.
Joey's mom. So, anyway,
Fun fact.
totally understand why it was weird, though. It was definitely the most obviously CGI portion of the movie. And that's a movie that had a freaking kaiju in it. Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah. Yeah. Multiple.
It felt, that's where it felt like, I know I said nothing really felt forced. That one might have felt just a little.
Mm-hmm.
With zero context.
Yep. And
just to get Metamorpho in the spot that he was in for this movie.
Sure.
So it worked.
Sure.
It worked.
No, I get that.
I was just a little confused at the child.
Mm-hmm.
And because, you know, sometimes when they introduce the babies and stuff, they just kind of like take over. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
totally
this was not a Baby Groot situation at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Not that I am complaining.
Yeah, that's great.
But that was one thing that I was like, I don't know where this goes.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Okay. I have a couple nits that I'm going to pick, and we're not going to dwell on these because I'll say right up front, my nits are relatively small, and they did not in any real way derail the movie or get it off track in any substantial form. These are just more of a, hey, a lot of it comes back to let's just take our time here and not be in quite as much of a hurry. So the biggest nit is I mentioned that news broadcast earlier, particularly I'm going to call it news broadcast number 1. So when the world is told by Lex Luthor and numerous news broadcasts, they're seeing the second half of that message from his Superman's biological parents that includes the, oh, by the way, why don't you just go ahead and rule the world bit. We went too quickly, in my opinion, from the world largely loves Superman to, oh, we just hate this guy. Don't trust him. And since Superman has been around for 3 years and built up a lot of positive equity in the trust bank, I thought that turn should have been just a touch longer. For example, I think a simple way to do it, and this wouldn't even involve so much more time as it would just be sequencing some of the scenes differently. That news broadcast comes out. Superman's first thought should be, how the heck is this video, for lack of a better word, right, of my parents that only I've seen, how is this being broadcast to the world? That should have immediately tripped a trigger of someone's in the Fortress of Solitude. He should have gone out to the Fortress of Solitude right away, uncovered or realized the carnage of all the superbots, seen that Krypto wasn't there, and then goes straight from Fortress of Solitude to Lex Luthor's office, busts in, he's raged, he's flipping the desk. Now you've got some tangible meat on the bone for the folks that are going, oh, maybe we shouldn't trust this guy, because not once has the world seen Superman appear to be unhinged. At least not have we seen it in the movie. What we're told, we never got to see it, what we're told is that what Superman chose to do as far as taking the initiative in the Barabian conflict led to some doubt being sown, but mostly, as far as we know, amongst world leaders. The general populace seems to go, pretty good move. I mean, that's pretty neat that he's doing that. So I just think we need to be shown a little bit more. It's a nit. There it is. Just take your time a little bit more. It's only a 2-hour movie. You got time. Give another 5 minutes of letting that hot roast cook in the slow cooker, and then take it out, and it'll be really nice. My other nit, okay, Ma and Pa Kent were portrayed a little too, the word I'm going to use is simple for my take, okay, for my taste, rather. Ma Kent in particular, it is firmly in the 2020s. You're telling me that Ma hasn't used a speakerphone enough to know that you don't have to shout into it. Now, maybe there's those of us out there that are going, dude, I've got the relative that does that. That's right on point. Okay, fair enough. I'm not saying it's not possible. I am saying that I felt it was an unnecessary leaning into the dumbing down, like calling the TV a box. That was just a little too heavy-handed for me. I get it. They're folksy. They are relatively simple, and that's fine. I thought they crossed a line from simple to maybe dumb. And that's just how it landed for me. Probably not how it landed for a lot of other people. But that was just one of my nits to pick. So, and it's one of those things that can easily be course corrected in future portrayals of those characters.
Just need more time.
Yep.
This is one thing I would bring up to you before we get into the actual casting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the change in Superman's biological parents going from being like this
great question
beacon of hope originally as well to now, hey, conquer the planet, have a bunch of wives, spread your seed, and take over the world? Which is it's a very like almost aggressive like bang.
Yeah.
In that sense. It gave me I haven't watched or read it, but it gave me some Invincible vibes from that, because that's kind of what the premise is for Invincible. So to have it now with Superman,
yep,
it's an interesting change.
Yeah. It's not my preference. I genuinely was in a state of denial. Like, it's got to be fake. That's got to be doctored somehow. And it's definitely not. James Gunn has gone so far as to say multiple times on his press tour following the movie, like, how do people think that's a fake? I thought I made that really obvious that it's not a fake. He's like, we said with 3 different characters, 3 different times, Mr. Terrific, Lex Luthor, and I'm not remembering the government official. He said, guys, it's not a fake. That's a real, genuine, that was the take. It's 100% not my personal preference. I would much more and much rather prefer, not referencing because I prefer this movie to this Superman, but I really enjoyed in Man of Steel how that version of Jor-El wants his son to do good. And in general, from the comics, because there have been divergent takes on what was Jor-El, and I apologize, I'm forgetting his mom's name, something else, L. But I much prefer that posture of those characters to intentionally send their son to a planet where they believe that he can do good, not rule, strictly speaking, but serve and do good. And there has been in the comics genuine, like, long-standing portrayals of those characters, of Superman's biological parents, that have gone this direction, which is not so much that they're directly or intentionally, let's say, evil, but it's just more of a, listen, you've got the power, you should rule. That's the best way that you can serve Earth. And so in that sense, it was an accurate portrayal. It's definitely not what I would say is the mainstream, though, portrayal. Like, for as much as so much of this Superman character was the easy to recognize of, oh, that's the Superman that I expect. That's the Superman that I, quote unquote, grew up with or grew to love. It was not that with his parents. So that was a choice. I'm still very undetermined as to where I fall on, am I going to be able to enjoy that moving forward? Is it just going to be something I'm going to have to get over? What are they going to do with that in future stories? If anything, I don't know. But at this moment in time, not my preference.
The only thing, and I just kind of thought about it now while we're talking it out.
Yep.
I'm very interested to see how this affects Kara and Supergirl moving forward as well, because she was more grown up.
Yeah.
So was she given that initiative going forward?
Sure.
Or is that
she wasn't sent from Krypton as a baby. She was sent from Krypton very close to her current age that we're seeing her in the movies. Yeah.
Or is she or her parents different than Clark's parents? And that's where it's going to get interesting, because to me, that's a different Kara then, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is she pushing back against that message, going, that's a terrible idea, I'm not doing that?
Or, is she an alcoholic?
Right.
And that's how she's dealing with her issue.
Right, she's not dealing with it as productively. What I do respect about the decision is that it serves to emphasize the agency and the power of choice that Superman has, right? So in that respect, it's a strong way to develop the character in terms of, sure, he is, he is capable of, if he chose to rule, or at least to come really close to it. He'd be pretty dang tough to stop. And even though he knows that was the original intent of his birth parents, he is still actively choosing to say, love you, but no, I'm going to choose a different path to doing what's best for this world that I've been entrusted to protect. So I get it. I respect it. Again, just not my particular personal preference. Yeah. Great question. Great question. Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. All right. Well, let's get into the cast because as we mentioned and discussed earlier, it was terrific. Let's just go from the top. David Cornsweet as Superman. I didn't expect the guy to be this good, Beans.
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Terrific. He's incredible.
You're just a hater if you don't like him.
Correct.
To be honest.
Oh, correct.
You're just a hater.
There is no doubt. You want to be sad
yes.
if you don't like him.
For sure.
Yeah. The guy obviously looks like Superman, but his portrayal, it'd be so easy for the genuineness of his portrayal to cross over into the threshold of, dude, you're forcing this. Yeah. But it was so genuine and so organic. And every interview that I have read or watched, either given by David Cornsweet, where he's talking about the Superman character and what he believes makes the Superman character tick, or his fellow cast members talking about David Cornsweet, it's really obvious that this casting choice didn't come about through a quick or expedited process. It was very meticulous. And for example, one of his, I don't remember if it was James Gunn in particular, or if it was, again, a fellow cast member was asked, so would David Cornsweet actually say, what the hey, dude, like in real life? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's exactly how he talks. That's really not just Superman. That's just David going, what the hey, dude. That's just who he is. And that is, I think, pretty special and pretty encouraging that somehow they found this guy that none of us can pretend like, oh, I've seen this guy in several things already. I saw him in Twisters, but it was a minor role. There wasn't anything for him to really, frankly, do in that movie in a way to stand out. So I'm super impressed and over the moon with this guy.
One thing that I really enjoyed was the dialogue that he had, like the upbeat humor in it, where he just throws his clone into, the vortex, the black hole. And it's terrific. It's like, hey, come on, we got work to do. He's like, I'm trying, man. Like that. Or like when he's getting swarmed by all of Lex's guys, and he's like, I wouldn't do this if I were you. Those little that felt like Superman to me.
Right.
Right. And it's not like, again, these aren't like jokes where you're dying on the floor laughing. And they're not really even jokes.
Or even early in the movie where he's trying to make a joke, like Superman doesn't have time for selfies. And you can tell he's really proud of it. And Lois is like, that's not good. He's like, yes, it is. Like, no, it's not.
He's kind of a dork. He is.
Yeah,
that's part of the character. It's a part of the Boy Scout-esque vibes of him, and it works. And again, you're not
punk rock. No, you're not.
That's right. You're not going to be giggling like at everything he says because he's funny. You're saying it because it's quirky. You're laugh. That's why the laugh is there. Right. So I really enjoyed having that, and even like his line delivery towards the end where he's yelling at Lex and he's like, I am human. You don't understand this. Like getting that, you can
like, stop calling me an alien, man. Yeah. Like that's not the core of who I am. It's an alien.
So just that acceptance part for not only himself, but from others as well. It's yes. He was phenomenal. That's what I wanted out of Superman. This is what I wanted. And I can't wait to see him in other things. Throw him in everything. Honestly, do it. I'm all good with it. For sure.
Seriously, I can't believe he was this good. My expectation coming in this movie was I had hopes for the movie to be good. I really expected Cornsweet to be pretty neutral. I'm like, that's really all I need from the guy. Like, just be okay. You don't need to knock it out of the park. So he well exceeded truly my highest expectations for him. And I'm pleasantly surprised by that. So good on you, David. Can't wait to see you in more to come. Something real quick that I wanted to highlight with Superman in particular. What did you think about the choice to power him down? Like, he's not this godlike powered super being. He's obviously very strong. Like the opening crawl of the movie is clear about how he is the most powerful metahuman. But I wouldn't say it necessarily felt like that for a good chunk of the movie. Like, he gets knocked around plenty in this movie, whereas previous, like some of the more recent iterations, right? Looking at you again, Man of Steel is, there's nothing that could ever possibly stop that version of Superman. Like, the power set is off the charts, and that's often how he's portrayed in the comics as well. Just excessive power. I didn't think that was what we got here. In fact, I thought it was an intentional dialing back of sorts.
I still,
not to the point that he's neutered, but just it was a, hey, we're in a different tier of Superman tiers. Where is he? He's very powerful, obviously, but is he beyond, without a doubt, everybody else's skill set? Like, the engineer was going toe to toe with him, for example.
And I think that's even more just an attribute to the character of Superman as a whole. Because instead of like that, I feel like he's holding back.
Sure.
To like, if we talk about him fighting that monster before they killed it, he didn't want to kill that thing at all.
Right.
Like, he's trying to.
Yeah. It's trying to find a humane way to corral the kaiju.
Correct. And so he can figure out what's going on with it, and instead everybody else kills it. And
Which is another just great dork scene. Like, dude, it's a freaking kaiju. We're just going to kill the thing.
Right. And if you think about the fight, the main fight that he had is against Ultraman, which is, in essence, it's another Kryptonian. So it is a fight between, essentially, it is Lex's brain with Superman's brawn compared to just Superman's
brain and brawn
and improvisation. So to have, like, if he's losing to that, and somebody who's been studying Superman for as long as he has, so he knows all the strengths and weaknesses and where the openings are going to be, I get behind that a lot more. So I think with that character, I don't get neutered is not the right word.
No,
I think
not at all.
I think they did a very good job of portraying his personality in this as, okay, he knows that he could break anybody's body in half with just a poke of his finger.
Sure.
Because he could have annihilated Lex Luthor, and that's not what happened. If I even remember correctly, I don't think he really laid a hand on Lex, except with the arm. Correct?
Yeah,
and I don't even
kind of the shoulder nudge, and to your point, it's like, boy, how much is he holding back to not just splatter Lex in that moment? And
I'm about to say, didn't Lex kind of initiate that, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, Lex is trying to run. He's trying to get to the portal to the pocket universe, and that's where Superman busts through the window to get in his way so that he does not make his escape.
So the fact that he only messed the shoulder up a little bit to put him in a sling, when in all reality, he could have just blown his arm completely clean off, I'd say is impressive. So for me, I think that's what I feel like when I'm watching this version of Superman. And it's going to be awesome.
Oh, no doubt.
When they let that man go full power. Because just wait, because that'll be, you thought Captain America getting Mjolnir was sick. Let Superman go without any limits, and we got ourselves a fight. So that's how I felt. Again, it didn't feel he didn't feel depowered. I'd like to see more of the power set. I don't feel like we got a lot of laser eyes, and
very few.
And I don't feel like we got any. I mean, we got some of the breath, but I don't. It didn't feel cold.
And just a little freeze breath to save a dog.
Yeah. So it was. I can't wait to see them flesh that out a little bit more on that end.
He felt powerful without being invulnerable.
Right.
That to me was the greatest distinction. And there was more obvious ways that he could be slowed or beaten.
I also appreciated the kryptonite poisoning. Like the actual effects in like real time, and you're like, oh. It's not just him like bending down and getting weak and powering. It's like literally
he's a common man.
His like veins are like turning purple, and
there's some internal poisoning that's taken.
I appreciated that too. It makes it it feels more like a threat when you see the kryptonite in there. And so I'll be interested to see when more kryptonite comes into play, because they're like, there isn't very much at all here on planet Earth. So that'll change at some point, I'm sure. But no, that was my how I felt about that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. A lot of great things about David Cornsweet. How about Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane?
Great. Her confidence, especially. Like, Lois knows what she's doing. She takes over when she needs to. That's Lois Lane. So I mean, I'm not going to go too much more in depth with that. She nailed it.
Yeah,
You're going to hear a lot of me saying they nailed it because that's honestly how I felt with this movie, and I know that is rare.
It's just Schmidt, no notes.
No notes, legit.
I think part of what they did so well with this portrayal is it's really easy for Lois Lane, for that character to be portrayed as either the word I used earlier was cynical, right? It's easy for Lois Lane to drift into the cynical side, or just like blind supporter, no matter what Clark Kent or Superman does. It's gold, man. That's great. Just keep doing you, boo boo. That's wonderful. And I think it's difficult to find that middle ground where, again, she's skeptical. It's part of her nature. She's going to ask questions. It's why she's great at her job as an investigative reporter of some renown. But she is interested and committed to the truth. And that's what draws her to the character of Superman, is she genuinely recognizes him as desiring to be and trying to live out as this beacon of truth. And that's really rare and that's really unique. I think she, in her own right, in her own way, challenged Superman really well in his dorkiness and his naivete of, listen, it's fine that you are acting of your own accord and believe that you're doing the right thing, but you can't also genuinely act in such ignorance and be surprised that questions are being asked of your actions. Like that's fine. I'm not saying you didn't do the right thing, but don't be quite so naive here. Let's gain some depth there. So I thought in that respect, her character was so valuable and so important to the character of Superman. And ultimately, it's also the work that she does, with big assist from Jimmy Olsen, that actually take Lex down in a long-term way. If it's just Superman doing what he's doing, well, first of all, he doesn't escape. He's dead. But it's Lois that lights enough of a fire under the Justice Gang to get Mr. Terrific into action. But it's also the real boots on the ground work that she does with her reporting and investigating to put Lex away for a long time. So it's not just, oh, Superman beat his bizarro clone. No, Lex is going into Belle Reve for an extended stay. So that was really critical as well. I thought Rachel was terrific. That was incredible. And I'm very glad that that's the Lois Lane that we got. That's the Lois Lane call me a big fan of before seeing.
And you said one side of the spectrum and another. I think another route that a Lois Lane could fall under, if for like the normal person, is the damsel in distress, which she never was. Yeah. And I very much appreciate that, because I am tired of that shtick. Oh. Anywho, she handles herself. She comes in, she takes over essentially for her half, for sure. So it's just, I'm glad that, and I'm not saying that that's the route that has been happening for Lois Lane, but with a character as strong as Superman to come in, I feel like that's just an easy moment, and you didn't get that at all. So they were very confident in who she needed to be, and it is much appreciated.
Yeah, no question. Okay, Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor. Well done, sir.
Phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
Yep. Again, not an easy role to execute well, but I think this movie, one of the best things that it did was it didn't hold back with Lex. Like I mentioned earlier, he's got the pocket universe, he's got the Superman clone, he's got the nanite superpowered lackey. How impressive is it that he has developed a network of, I'm just going to call them Luthorites, like believers that are all in on his way of doing things. They're like, yeah, let's take the Superman dude down. That was something that was easy to take for granted, and it worked really well on a subconscious level. But as I reflected on this movie, I thought, it's actually wild that the dozens of employees of his that are in that control room are just as enthusiastic as he is at kicking Superman's ass. Like, when they're beating him down, none of them are going, oof, did we have to go that far? They're like, hell yeah, kick him in the nuts again, Ultraman. That was fantastic. Fill up his lungs. Great. How long do we got? I think he's got 5 minutes. Good job, everybody. What, like, there is belief behind his, for lack of a better word, minions. And minions is just a disrespectful word because they're not minions. They are partners with him. That, I think, spoke and did as much for me about showing who Lex Luthor is as anything in this movie. I thought Nicholas Hoult, for his personal level portrayal of Lex, like I already mentioned earlier, just really towed that line so well between controlled and out of control.
Well, and they just did such a great job of focusing on how smart Lex Luthor is. To the point where Mr. Terrific is like, he's this crazy to do this. Mm-hmm. Like, to make a pocket universe alone is just... Terrific was just... No words. No words for it. So to have that...
And I love that Mr. Terrific couldn't just swoop in and go like, oh, I got this. Hacked.
Oh, yeah.
Solved. Like, no, he's got to get to the source. In other words, what has Lex Luthor built? He's got to get to Lex's controls in order to shut that rift down. He can't just conveniently outsmart Lex Luthor.
Right. And catching the hypocritical part of Lex by the fact that he did clone Superman right from the get-go there. Yep. Hilarious. Yep. I am stoked to see him get the suit.
Yep.
Because when he gets the power suit, we're going. Yeah. We're going full scale. Yeah, just to combine all of the A4, B3, all those inputs. Hilarious. So, I am. I'm super stoked. We already got a Bizarro already out of him. I'm curious to see what other villains he helps put into play. We're doing good. Yeah. We're doing good. We're off to a good start.
Yeah, they absolutely crushed it. Okay, I know we're getting lengthy here and we got other content we want to get to. So let's do kind of a quick hit on the Justice Gang.
Yep.
As a group.
Okay.
Your takeaways.
Green Lantern, fantastic. I want to see more constructs in the future. Mm-hmm. Nothing is funnier than watching a middle finger go up multiple times as he's just destroying tanks.
Or the giant baseball bat just whacking the interdimensional ramp in the distance. That killed me.
That's so Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner is the guy that's going to make baseball bats, boxing gloves, maces. Like, he's in your face, personal.
Attitude is just reeking through those constructs.
Mr. Terrific stole the show for me from that group. Yeah. That was not something I expected to see. Him getting that
fight... For Eddie Gathegi.
Right.
Good for him.
Well, him getting that fight scene, I think, is so essential for Mr. Terrific, because without it, I don't think people are going to connect to the character as much. But to give him... Oh, not only is he smart...
the kaiju takedown doesn't do enough for me. Okay.
No, you see him actually hand-to-hand combat, taking out not just a couple people. Like, it is a big group of people, and he's handling himself well.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you have him. Mm-hmm. I want more from Hawkgirl. I didn't get enough of Hawkgirl.
Totally agree.
I don't know how to feel about that quite yet. And it's same with Metamorpho. We didn't get a lot of Metamorpho. I want more of those too before I'm like, this is great. So
we definitely got the least out of Hawkgirl. Like, Metamorpho had the opportunity to use numerous flex his power sets in numerous ways in a short amount of time. Hawkgirl was easily the least developed of these characters.
For sure.
So and not bad. Like, what we saw of her wasn't ill-fitting or...
Well, she also killed that guy. Right. Which I thought was...
Yeah.
I mean, it semi makes sense if they're going from the Thanagar perspective. Mm-hmm. However, you're like, oh, we got a hero that's willing to kill.
Yep.
In the DCU off the bat. All right. All right. This changes perspectives a little bit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with all those takes. Enjoyed those characters, again, vastly more than I expected to. My hope and expectation was, okay, let's just be neutral here. And we were well beyond the neutral mark. We were firmly into the positive.
And the Hall of Justice. We did get that. That's awesome. So
super, super cool. Yep. They were great. Eddie Gathegi, Nathan Fillion, and Isabella Merced. Great to see them. And gosh, I'm forgetting now. What was the name of our actor that played
I could
Rex
not
Mason?
help you.
Yep.
All I know about that guy is he played... he was also in Gotham, and he played Zsasz, Victor Zsasz.
Sure.
Fun fact.
Yep. Sarah Sampaio was Eve Teskmacher, was hilarious.
Jimmy Olsen, shout out to Jimmy.
Yep.
I love the fact they made him a ladies' man. That's the funniest thing they could have done.
Was terrific as Jimmy Olsen. He was, it was so dang funny. Shoot, even like Maria Gabriela de Faria. No way I pronounced that completely correctly, but I tried to read it fast, so I got close.
The engineer.
Yes.
Dope power set.
She wasn't just in a suit. She did truly a great job.
Dope to see that in the future too.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, and here's the brilliant part.
Kerrigan. There we go. There's our guy, Rex Mason.
Brilliant part. No one died. Mm-hmm. No one significant died in this movie.
No. Your worst case is Superman clone went out to the black void and will eventually return as Bizarro.
Love it.
I think.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. We were right on that.
Yeah.
Ultraman is so funny. That's what they did with that. So I'm glad. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It was not Earth 3. So we're good. We're doing good.
Real quick shout out because I really enjoyed this. Terrence Rosemore was one of Lex's quote unquote right hand men as Otis. Okay. The character of Otis from the original Superman movies with Christopher Reeves was hilarious, like stumbling and bumbling. And there was a very similar plot point in this movie in terms of, Lex Luthor is trying to get himself a whole freaking country, to the original Superman movie where Lex Luthor is trying to get a whole freaking country. And his boy Otis goes, listen, I don't need a country as your associate, but can I get myself a city and can we call it Otisburg? That would be fantastic. That's a real thing in the original movie. And so I just choose to believe that this Otis is also going, all right, so in your half of Baravia, I get Otisburg, right? That's a thing. I just thought that was neat. That tickled my fancy.
It's a cool nod.
It is a cool nod. So overall, a strong start to the DCU as a whole, which we'll get into in future pods of what that future looks like. But what a solid win. That's great. It feels like it's been a little while since we've had a clear, definitive, both in the present win in terms of what it also then portends for the future. That's been a long time coming on the superhero front. So
especially for DC.
Yush. No question. All right, let's pivot to Fantastic Four First Steps. Comes out this weekend. Very much looking forward to this one. We are firmly in alternate universe world here, okay? Which we know. Let's get into, without further ado, our predictions for this flick. Beans, on a broad note, what are you expecting for this bad boy?
It's a great question. Part of me, we're getting Galactus, so that's fantastic. We're getting a legit Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get this world to blow up? I'm thinking yes. I think this Earth is gone.
Totally agree.
I think it's gone.
Totally agree.
I think Galactus. Now here's another question: is he the Earth killer? Is he still the planet killer, or is he a universe killer? Do we modify that to make him even more badass?
Yep.
I don't know. Definitely a planet killer for sure.
Yeah.
So
here's my answer to that. Yes. I think we're going to get a plot device here where, similar to what we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, where you have anchor beings for universes, I think we're going to see that stretched even further to have anchor worlds for universes.
Interesting.
That's a prediction. Don't put money on it. But I would not be surprised if that is an end result of this movie, which is, hey, that Earth dies and the universe around it dies as well. The only reason that wouldn't work, though, and so I'm going to argue against myself here, is that if the universe dies, then what's up with Galactus? That can't be great for him, right? He's going to have to reverse universes. And maybe he does. Maybe he does. So it's possible. I think it's more likely that he's your standard Galactus Earth killer.
That's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
I can see him winning, the Fantastic Four escaping into an alternate reality, or they get caught up by the timekeepers or whatever.
Sure.
Here's a question though, because we're talking about anchor beings and stuff. Who's our anchor being in this world?
Sure.
I think Reed is the obvious answer. I want to say Doom
Mm-hmm.
to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Doom.
That's a great question. I don't have a great answer, but I love the question. I'm going to have to ponder it in the days ahead.
Follow up. Do we get Doom?
We should.
I think we should too.
We should.
They just haven't shown it.
Yeah.
He's so essential to the origin itself. I think it would be heinous for him to not even be mentioned or involved whatsoever with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, we legitimately should. And I could understand if the powers that be and Marvel, for all of their foibles, has the misdirection game really dialed in the sense of if they don't want to show you something, Red Hulk, oops, you did. They won't. And I think it's extremely, extremely possible that Doom is in this movie, not in a extraordinarily critical way, okay, where it's been fully hidden, but I don't think there's any question that a Victor Von Doom character is in this movie, should be in this movie, and should have a part to play. And to your point, I love the idea of him as an anchor being gets eliminated. This world's version of Victor Von Doom gets eliminated. I would be totally on board with that. Yeah. But this movie has been, from a production perspective, so tight-knit, so closed on the overall cast. Like, I'm looking at IMDb right now, and the listed cast, okay, is so small. It's everybody that we know, the Fantastic Four, Galactus, and Silver Surfer. And then there are another 6 names listed.
Like I say, they did confirm Mole Man.
Right.
Mole Man's confirmed.
Right.
We did see Giganto in one of the trailers.
Sure.
So we have Mole Man and his minion.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yeah. I am. Guess what?
It's going to be so much fun.
It will be.
It's going to be so much fun.
It's great.
It's a great Fantastic Four villain.
Well, and I love that we're getting new villains for the Fantastic Four because it's always been Doom, and Doom is fantastic. But there's more than just Doom.
Correct.
So to have Galactus and legit Galactus, not a cloud, for the love of God, we have legit Galactus, boots on the ground. We're in business here.
Totally agree.
We are.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. So final predictions here for the movie. We both agree their world is toast.
Gone.
Correct?
Yep, dead.
Gone. And then they're going directly from their no longer existing world, where they are beloved, well-established, into the 616 world immediately. Don't you think? Or do you think they're going out into the multiversal ether? What's your perspective?
I feel like that's too easy. I feel like that's too easy. It might
be what's happening.
I can see.
Got that tease with Thunderbolts at the end.
We don't know if that's them, though.
Agreed.
It's just a ship. So it's possible that they come to the main timeline. I think it's also possible that they just show up on Battle World.
Okay.
You know? And that's their introductions. They just meet everybody else there. I can see that being a thing. If it's Victor Von Doom and he's the main guy, who's he messing with first? It's Reed Richards. He's going after Reed. He knows if anybody's going to take him off the board, it's going to be Reed Richards. So I can see him going after that elimination right off the get-go. So I'll be curious. I just... Because then, in a sense, they are playing the role of the Hulk in Infinity War. Where it's like, oh, hey, this is coming, blah, blah, blah. Done. And I don't know.
Galactus.
Right, and I don't know how I feel about that being their role in this one. So I don't know if it's that. I think it'd be hilarious if it was Deadpool and Wolverine that they get introduced to first. But see, and they're on their own world right now too. And that's where I'm like, okay, those two didn't cross over with the main universe outside of the one little scene that Deadpool had trying to be an Avenger. So where does this play in? I think you keep them separate. Personally, I think you're just rehashing the same old if you're bringing them to Earth to warn everybody else that doom's coming. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna say you're really thinking.
I think there's a few possibilities. Battle World is one of them. And so the movie serves to introduce the Battle World location. So that's certainly possible. I think Earth 616 is very possible as well, because this is going to be a little bit of a pun intended, there is a void in the 616 world right now as it stands for Avengers, right? We don't have true Avengers. You have the Thunderbolts that have been, pardon my French here, but bastardized into that Avengers role. You have Sam Wilson apparently out there trying to do his Avengers. We don't have an established Avengers unit. And so there is a void that could be not fully, but partially filled by the arrival of the Fantastic Four. And in particular, of course, the presence of Reed Richards. Like, the guy is and always has been a leader in any group that he's a part of. If he's not the guy, he's one of the guys. He's a 1B or C if he's not the 1A. The other alternative would be, you mentioned Deadpool and Wolverine, and it just sparked the idea, what if they end up in the void?
Yeah.
Right? Where the TVA chucks all of the unwanted riffraff. There's another, we haven't had a hint of any TVA involvement in this movie. I think there's a good chance that the TVA is utilized in some facet and in some capacity in this movie. Not nearly to the same extent as what we experienced in Deadpool and Wolverine, where it was a horror element from start to finish of that movie. But I won't be surprised if the TVA's network, let's say, gets involved here.
I agree.
That wouldn't shock me at all. Here's another prediction I'll make, and then I know we got to keep moving. I believe that this movie, whatever its strengths and foibles will be, I think that we are going to come away from this movie pleased and looking forward to more from the casting of the four core characters of Reed, of Sue, Johnny, and Ben. Really, I do. I understand our own concerns that we've expressed, that in general, I would say the reception to the casting was really in a lot of ways. Vanessa Kirby being the one outlier that was more easy to understand. Oh, sure, Sue Storm. But I think for Reed and Johnny in particular, I think it's been a tougher sell. Nothing against Pedro Pascal and Joseph Quinn, but the question has been, are these really the right fit for these characters? I think we're going to get that as an affirmative yes. It's my prediction.
I am not going into this movie with the expectations that I had for Superman. And I think that will eventually, I think that'll play out for me in a positive way, because I'm going to go into this movie with zero expectations. Superman, I had high expectations because it needed to have high expectations.
Yep.
This movie doesn't need to live up to the hype of Superman. This movie just needs to be good, and I think it needs to set you up for that Avengers movie. I think it's too on the nose for it not to be. With it being the Fantastic Four, and we're going into Doomsday. Right off the get-go. I think it's just stupid, frankly, to not just have those two connect in some way, shape, or form. The dynamic between Reed and Doom is too deep, critical. Too critical, too important to not have those two connect in some way, shape, or form by the end of this movie. I think it would be brilliant. Personally, I know we already talked about it coming to Battle World. I think it would be brilliant if Reed actually, so the planet blows up, they fail, they think they're about to die, close their eyes, they're on Battle World, they don't know how, and now Reed has to live with the fact that the only reason him and his family are alive is because of Victor Von Doom. I think that's too sweet to not have that be your connection there. So, it's interesting. It's very interesting. The fact that this is in its own universe too. There's more cards you can play. There's no limits here. You kill that planet, guess what? We're okay. We come into Secret World. or we come into
Battle
Doom
World,
World or Doom freaking whatever.
Yep.
Either way, you know what I'm talking about. We get into the multiverse, and then the multiverse combines into one, and then guess what? Afterwards, we get our soft reboot that everybody wants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my expectations are very medium.
Yeah. Good place for it to be.
I'm not sold. I'm not sold yet.
And that's okay. I'm not going to try and sell you. I'm going to let the movie do the selling. I hope whatever the other outcomes are for this movie, that we get a Fantastic Four grouping that we're going to be allowed to spend some legitimate time with in the years to come, because there are more great stories that this set of characters can give to us than I think most realize or anticipate. There is more character development and growth that is packaged in this group of individuals that can unlock so many good stories, both for those four characters and for the characters that come in and out of their world, that this is I think this is a more important movie for Marvel than maybe it's being hyped up to be. Yes, this is an alternate universe, but I think this movie has more riding on it than perhaps we've realized. I think this movie has to land. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to crush the portrayal of these characters so that they can serve as the foundation moving forward, what Marvel is trying to do. Will it pull it off? We'll see.
Well, the Fantastic Four needs to be a cornerstone, regardless. You know, if you think about it, when Marvel started out, when the MCU started out, they didn't have access to the Fantastic Four, one of the main pillars. They didn't have access to the X-Men, another one of the main pillars. So you're dealing with the Avengers. And guess what? The fourth pillar, Spider-Man, they don't have access to that. So you were limited. And now we can actually, for the most part, outside of the Hulk, we can actually just establish all of these main assets. So they will be very integral when we do get the reboot for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Great things, Beans. All right, it is time for another classic JP and Beans Top 5. Today's Top 5 topic is your Top 5 Fantastic Four villains. Without further ado, Beans, you go first.
Okay, first of all, I just want to preface, I don't know a lot about the Fantastic Four. So I'm playing with a limited deck, if you will, which that's my life. Anyways.
One card.
Nice. Anyways. So I feel like my list is kind of basic. It's kind of like, very on like, okay, yep. So these all make sense. I didn't try too hard. I didn't get creative. Like this is it. Number 5, I have Namor. Because I enjoy the dynamic between him, Reed, and Sue. Right. Because he's always had a thing for Sue. Right. And she's almost been like won over by him, but Reed always wins in the end. And to have, Namor plays such a good middle character, a very chaotic neutral, chaotic's not right, lawful neutral character. Yeah. I enjoy that dynamic. And I'd like to see Namor against a Mr. Fantastic just as much as I like to see him against Black Panther and some of these other characters. Because, that's where I'm at with it. Honestly, I'm not going to go too much more in depth because I can't. So, I like it. I like that dynamic. It's fun. Yeah. There you go.
One of my favorite elements of Namor, especially when he drifts into the more villainous role, is Fantastic Four. Because there's times where the Fantastic Four and Namor and Atlantis are aligned with one another, but it's always a very tenuous alignment. But one of my favorite elements is that Namor is like shamelessly attracted to Sue and just genuinely wishes that Reed were just toast. And he will in front of Reed tell Sue, just ditch this dude. Come into the sea with me, baby. This is where it's at. And Reed's always like, guy, I'm right here. That's wrong on so many levels. It's just, it's such a professional wrestling heel move. And he's just unashamedly forthright with it. It's absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Okay. Great. Number 5. I had Namor as a contender on my list. He didn't quite make it on, okay? My number 5 is Mole Man, because he's just ridiculous, all right? Just crazy that this guy should even be on the list, but there's so much just organic humor that comes with the character of Mole Man being a Fantastic Four villain, because so much of the Fantastic Four's appeal as characters in a way that's it's easy to find reasons to go, oh, I get why these characters are worth following and like being fans of, is they're trying to go to the stars, right? They want to explore, they want to expand. And then you got Mole Man, who's like, no, we're going down into the dirt. Let's hang out in Subterranea. Look at all my mole people. And all of his minions and associates, they're gross.
Yeah,
there's
gross.
not a single one, including him, that is good to look at. Tough to see. And so there's just the visual humor that comes with that. And he has more ability to be a problem for the Fantastic Four than he rightfully should. But he's just there to remind the Fantastic Four, like, yeah, you're going for the stars, but man, you should check out what's under the dirt. There's some good stuff down there. Giant worms. So Mole Man is my number 5. My number 4, and this is a little bit of a different take, alternate universe Reeds. Okay? Reed in the 616, let's call him Prime Reed, good man, extremely capable, devoted to his family, and yet simultaneously devoted to the greater good of the world and the universe, and just so grounded and so solid. And the character of Sue has a lot to do with that, but I'm getting a little off track. Alternate universe Reeds are all awful. They're dicks to a T. There's not another universe's Reed that we have ever encountered that you've gone, neat guy. Not only not neat guy, turds. They want to conquer the freaking world. They're not there for the greater good of the universe. If they are, it comes in the fashion of, oh, so I'm in charge. That's what's best for you all. I take more control. You're welcome. I'm not hearing the thank you loud enough. Louder, please. They're all just lousy people, to the point of they're more than happy to just get rid of Prime Reed. Be like, dude, you're an idiot. You should have ditched your wife and family a long time ago and taken over the planet. Why haven't you yet, by the way? So that's my number 4. Well, any alternate universe Reed.
For an example, the Maker, which is the Prime one for the Ultimate Universe.
Yes.
What a dark turn for that character.
That
and scarred and everything. That's tough. Mm-hmm. That's a tough look. Yep. And now he remade the Ultimate Universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a alternate version of Reed who defeated Doom, cut out half his brain, and put it in his own head.
It's because
just dark. Just freaking dark. Let's just do this. Let's take the best part of Doom. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to leave Doom in a vegetative state. Just really wild. So that's my number 4. Alternate universe Reeds.
My number 4, just because of pure concept alone,
yep.
And I would like these to get redeemed a little bit in the Marvel and the MCU. I got the Super Skrull at number 4, having the powers of all 4 members of the Fantastic Four. So he's giving them all a run for their money. I enjoy that because it's a really good display of how powerful the Skrulls can actually be if they want to be, or if they aren't wasting their time like they did in the Secret Invasion. So, anyways,
great.
I got Super Skrull at number 4. Now we get into number 3.
And real quick, because the Super Skrull, like his power set is based off of the Fantastic Four's power set.
I believe
he has all of their respective abilities at his disposal.
He duplicated or stole or cloned their powers. Yeah. Yep. So he has all 4. He can go invisible. He can shoot fire.
Yep. Get a big
stretch.
Rock fist.
Yes, big rock fist. Always one big rock fist for sure. Never goes full body thing.
Yep.
But yes.
Right. Just a fist at a time. Thank you.
Number 3.
It's great.
I have a Nihilus.
Yeah.
That feels like a main Fantastic Four villain. Look, mainly because this dude is gross. Have you ever looked at the Annihilus wave, by the way? Disgusting. Stay away from me. That is a nightmare for me. I don't do parasites. That seems like that's right up Annihilus's alley. Not a fan. This dude, when he enters the scene, terrifying. This is a guy that Human Torch sacrificed himself to defeat or to hold back long enough, and everybody thought he was dead. Hence that run right there. very emotional comic panel when he decides to goose out.
Yes.
One of the most mature things Johnny Storm has ever done was protect his family.
Then or since.
Correct. Yeah. He kind of regressed a little bit, didn't he?
He didn't continue down the maturing path.
No.
He's like, so once, didn't care for it.
Because of the sacrifices he made the Fantastic Four take, I've got to have Annihilus at 3.
It's fantastic. So I'm going to do a last minute edit. I had Annihilus at 3 as well, but I loved your take on him. Everything you said. No, totally agree. Here's one that I didn't have in this slot, but I was back and forth with Annihilus and this one. I'm going to go Kang at number 3.
Yeah, I thought about Kang too, and I was like, he feels more Avengers than Fantastic Four, but he still is very much to the Fantastic Four.
Very much so. Part of the reason is he is a Richards descendant.
Correct.
So his line of genealogy draws directly back to, it depends on which one you're, which comic you read. I don't think it's necessarily Reed directly, but it's definitely Nathaniel, Reed's dad, which gets a little weird. So I got to do a little more digging to see if there's a particular canon. It's like, no, he's definitely this. Okay. But I digress. Point is, Kang has that familial tie with the Richards family and therefore likes to pick on them a little bit, right? Like he's got all this power, he's got all this ability to go wherever he wants in time. This is the Kang the Conqueror version of Kang. And he just loves to come back and pick on the old family. He's like, I'm better than you. You suck. Look at what I've become. Look at what you were. Small. Just the attitude is incredible from Kang. So constant emotional dunking from Kang. My number 2 is Galactus. There is probably second only to the one that will definitely be number 1 on our lists. There is not a more catastrophic villain that the Fantastic Four has to deal with. Part of what makes Galactus appealing, okay, isn't just the fact that obviously he's fudging enormous and can just take down an entire world when he feels like it, but the Fantastic Four actually works to try and forge a legitimate, albeit uneasy, alliance with Galactus so that they can kind of, they recognize it, the big guy's got to eat. Okay. How can he eat but not eat worlds that are going to have millions or billions of people suffer? But the sheer might of Galactus is unparalleled. It's absolutely wild. One of my favorite Fantastic Four Galactus moments, though, is when Galactus partners up with the Fantastic Four to try and combat the Mad Celestials. That's a wild storyline. But that's my number 2, Galactus.
Yeah. So let's just get this out of the way. Yeah. Galactus is also my number 2, and we already know who the number 1 is. Yeah. The Wizard. So number 2, Galactus, agreed 100% everything you said. When he steps on the scene, you're like, oh, it's about to go down. Whoops. This is rough. This is rough. They've had to make specific weapons to try to take this guy out. Doesn't work. No. One thing that you didn't touch on that is also really cool with Galactus is the Heralds. The Heralds are awesome. We've had, obviously, Silver Surfer's the most famous one that eventually, breaks free or whatever, or turns into this guide in a sense of being like, hey, here's a dead planet. Eat this one instead.
Yeah, he gains a little more agency.
Right. And we've had really cool heralds with Galactus, like Thor in most recent ones, who badass, by the way. If you look up, he just gets an insane. He already got a power boost before he became this, and then afterwards just gets even stronger for no reason as a herald, and it's awesome. All right, and it's because Galactus is scared of, I believe they call it the All Winter. I don't fully know or remember because I didn't fully read the storyline. All right, I just keep up with the notes. All right, I spark notes some stuff. All right, I got a lot going on. Anyways, my point is for Galactus to just be able to also just give that power up at the flip of a trigger. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, Silver Surfer, dope. All right, an odd concept on paper, but the Silver Surfer is awesome.
But he executes it way more well than
for sure
has any right to. I mean, here's something you can say about Galactus. The guy knows how to market. He understands branding. Silver Surfer, Fire Lord, Terrax the Tamer. Like, those are some great names.
I knew there was a fire guy, and I couldn't remember his name. Terrax
Yeah.
I fully knew and remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they don't look like they're an easy fight either. Terex is terrifying.
Correct.
I mean, no pun intended
Correct.
there. So
See what you did there.
Galactus is not, he's not just a powerful presence in himself, but he also has these way powerful beings at his disposal as well. So that's my number 2.
Totally.
We already know our number 1. It's Doctor Doom.
Oh, not the Wizard. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the Wizard. It's Doctor Doom by a mile. It's not close. Doctor Doom, arguably the best villain in all of comics. That's a rabbit hole for a different day. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Doom is the only person that has successfully brought peace to the planet. Mm-hmm. And again, he's not a good dude. Right. But he's not also...
Yeah, you're not loving the means he uses to get to that end point.
Correct. He's also not just dabbling in science, he dabbles in magic as well. So he's very versatile on that front. Because in his mind, he's like, why would I limit myself to one form of knowledge? Let's broaden my horizons here. Right. He is currently the Sorcerer Supreme in Marvel Comics. He took it away from Doctor Strange. Hilarious. I think of God Doom, probably the most badass form of Doctor Doom, when he's like, you know what, the world fell apart, I'm going to bring it back together, because Stephen Strange didn't have the willpower to do it himself, and Doctor Doom's like, of course, it needs to be me.
You're not sure if you're really... I am.
Right. Nothing is more iconic than watching him rip Thanos' spine from his back and Thanos just disintegrating on the pole. Yeah. That is one of the most terrifying things. And to be like, oh, the Infinity Stones have nothing on God Doom. All right? The white, sick. And I love the fact that just to add a little icing on the cake, he takes Reed's family. He turns the thing into a giant wall. He turns Human Torch into the sun. Galactus is now a plaything for Franklin.
His wife takes his kids as his own.
He's like, oh yeah, this is my family. And it's like, bruh.
Yeah.
Talk about jealousy.
Mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Doom. Yeah. It's not even close, man. Doom is awesome.
Yeah, there's a gap there. And that is, gosh, we just continue to hope so strongly that the character of Doom gets his due. Somewhat in this movie, but certainly more so in the movies to come. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be curious. Again, we've talked about it before. Is RDJ the permanent Doom? I don't think so. Same. I think we get another secret actor to come into play here. He's for the love of God, let it be Cillian Murphy. That is too good to be true. That is my personal pick, because he would annihilate as Doom. All right.
Incredible.
Yes. So it's Doom at number 1 for both of us.
Yep. With a bullet.
Yes.
With a bullet.
Little side note, rest in peace to the our original Dr. Doom actor. He passed away with, I believe, fight of cancer. Yeah. So that's tough. And he was a very good Doom for what he was given. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was... It's a cliche, but it's true. You know, life is precious. It's not guaranteed that you're going to live for so many years, and we live in this era where longevity is common, right? People are living into their 80s and 90s on a routine basis, and that's far from guaranteed. And so, be appreciative of whatever your lot in life may be. I'm not saying don't try and do better, sure, but there's too much to be grateful for and to appreciate. That if you spend all your time wishing that things were different, you're doing yourself a disservice. So, Julian McMahon, R.I.P., bud. It sucks. So sorry for his family, of course. But good note. Good note. Thanks for saying that.
Oh, really ended on a bummer there. So
it's from what we can tell from what his friends and families have said about him since he's passed. When it's free game, he lived life well. So he left a solid legacy. Sorry to see him go, of course. Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. I think that wraps it.
Indeed it does. Well done, Beans. Go see Fantastic Four First Steps. We will, of course, recap on a future pod. And as we mentioned earlier, there's going to be a ton to unpack and discuss with futures for the MCU, the DCU.
I mean, if the Superman movie review that we just did, any indicator, we're going to be in it for a while.
We certainly will be. So take us home, Beans.
Yeah. On that note, Godspeed.
Peace.